would it take for me to get to the person that I know that I am and that I know that I can be? How long will it take? Trust and believe me, I've asked the same questions.
From there, you were able to look at it and you were able to identify what's going on inside of you. We must do our own work.
It takes a lot of motivation, determination to be the person that you want to be.
When you come into Vibe Talk, I'm not some guru that's going to figure out what is wrong with you. You learn the technique of finding out why you hurt. And I'm so glad to announce, after all of our hard work, Trish and I are so happy to present to you the Healing Center, a place where you feel safe, a place where your family can come, a place where you can get into groups and learn to work on you, yourself, and you. Happy anniversary to Vibe Talk. 5 years and still connecting. Doors are always open and they always have been open.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, Wellness Day, and this is where we check into ourselves while we are checking on ourselves. We can think about others. Our lines are open at 1-888-721-9260. We are Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. Today we take a look at healing and we take a look at welling ourselves. But we might ask ourselves, what do we heal from? Here's some things that we might be healing from. Triggers, traumas, stress, post-traumatic stress, postpartum for women in pregnancy, abuse of varying kind, challenges of every kind, recovery, parenting that faces challenges with rearing today's child. We also do advocacy for children. We also do families, bringing them together. Sharing experience of our stories to be able to help other people so that you know by support that you are not alone. Strategies. We learn how to manage, cope, and deal with strategies. We have an interactive conversation where everyone gets a chance to talk. We also have fatherhood, motherhood, teenagers, trying to help them to stay focused. Not only do we heal from facing difficulty or challenges, we have triumphs. We have winning stories. It's not always a sad emotion that we face. We deal with grief, loss of family, friends, workmates, ones that we really love, addiction of various kind, and being just a survivor of so many healing things. Today, since it's Wednesday Wellness, I really thought our focus would be on, wow, just being able to heal. If you haven't visited via our Facebook page, and you can look at that by the same name, Vibe Talk Facing the Lion, and you can see on Instagram. We are coming along, and I want to thank everyone who is involved with this beautiful project. We want to be able to bring the community a wellness and a healing program. We want to be the one that everyone says, I've been there, I know what it's like. In fact, I had someone say to me, I drove by it. Good morning for those of you who are on there. We just started. And I am very proud to say our relaxation center just opened Monday. So I had an appointment for that. People want to get into that. I'll tell you a little bit about that since it's Wednesday Wellness. That helps you to be able to come in, and you've heard of the I can't relax. I find it hard to relax. I have no time to relax. Well, you've got 45 minutes to do just that. And so here's where you're going to relax. You're going to be in a very safe environment in our office, healing center. And you get to just relax, to listen to calm music, calming effects. What we want you to do is not empty your thoughts. We want you to think about your thoughts and focus on yourself, in that your heart rate, your pulse, and get connected to noticing your breathing. That went really well. Monday was the first day. And we've got more appointments coming. By the way, I even allow you to bring your pillow and your blanket just so that you can feel safe. 45 minutes can do the body so wonderfully. So go ahead and take a look at our Facebook page for all of you who are out there. We say good morning to you. If you have any questions, you can call into our direct connect. And that number for you is 1-888-721-9260. By the way, if you're noticing our QR codes, go ahead and scan them. We are using those because sometimes people have a lot of questions, and that way you can research it and still ask questions if need be. I want to thank all of you. The Healing Center is shaping up, and we're so very grateful for it. We were outside of office hours, work time, putting some things together, and boy, is it looking great. I cannot wait to show you guys all that has been done. Everyone is welcome. Families, individuals, and this project represents for me the start of all healing. We are going to talk about that this morning, our healing journey. You know, most people talk about the journeys that they're on. Some people have health kicks, some people do exercise, some people are committed to new jobs. But really, when we think about the healing, what does it mean to you? Healing. And we've talked about some of the things that we need to heal from. You just been told about that. There's still so much more to be able to heal from. And there's so many spectrum sides of healing. Healing emotionally, mentally, physically, psychologically, as well as our healing of trauma. We are by no means doctors. I am a certified life coach, and I am grateful for doctors who do their job. So what I try to do is help you to understand how to access you and yourself. Many people are walking around not being able to connect with themselves. Can you imagine questioning yourself? What's the matter with me? Well, by your being able to come into the healing center, you are the person that works on you. By my asking series of questions, by our doing workshop, by my treating you as if you were me. Because I would want to know, many people are depressed. They will tell you they're depressed, but they don't know why. You get to discover that. And by no means will we tell you, don't take the medicine, don't do this. We're not going to do that. My co-host and I, what we do is help you to find and discover things about yourself maybe you didn't know before. Maybe no one's ever told you. You know, life is already hard enough. Would you not agree that life is hard enough? We want you to be mindful of your healing, getting well, staying well, and being well. It's all about Wednesday wellness today. Now, when we think about the things that we're healing from, why is it, would you say, that people are afraid to talk about it? I'll pick one. Sexual abuse. Did you guys know that so many people are dealing with that, and yet people find it very hard to talk about? We really need to access that. And if you're the one dealing with it, or if you know of someone that's dealing with it, it doesn't go away. It just lies dormant. And the reason it does that is because the body has a defense to protect you. And so you push it away. We must deal with that. And nobody can make you deal with it. The Healing Center is all about people who come together who come to me and they're able to talk about it in a safe environment, and we dignify them yet more and more. Why do we need to talk about it? Because it affects our every move. Let's get serious. Let's really think about what we're up against. Emotional abuse, physical abuse, child abuse. Can you name even more? So what you do, you come in and you're going to challenge yourself. And I like to call it challenge because, it's just more than a commitment for you coming into an appointment. It's all about thinking yourself, I want to get healed from this. Are there quick heal things? No. It all takes time. It takes time. It takes work. And I believe that the more that you work on yourself, the more that you will become better than you were the day before. Just ask. So many people have listened to us. And even if they're not in this virtual room, we can go back sometime today and we find that so many people are still listening. 5 years and counting, as we did for December 2024 in our 5th year. We hope to be here long before your grandkids, children are born. We want this to impact not just the community, but the way it impacted so many people during the COVID. Way back then, when the COVID started, Vibe Talk podcast got started. Maybe 2 weeks in, and many of you are still listening. I thank you for the beautiful support. When we think about people that have to heal, if you've ever been through a divorce, that can be painful enough. That's something that needs time to heal. Breakups. Think about people who have lost their jobs. People who have lost their jobs really can have a breakdown because of the reality of that. Things are so very expensive. If you've been grocery shopping, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And we need money to be able to live. So people like that. But now, I want to help you to appreciate that the Healing Center deals with all kinds of things. And the best thing about it is to be able to see how many clients have grown. Because they've come even before we had the actual building. I've done Zoom sessions with people. I get letters from them. And they're still listening. Sometimes we need reassurance. And who does the healing discriminate toward? No one. The Healing Center affects everyone. I had a young woman come in, a middle-aged woman, walk into my center as I was just about to have a client, and she says, I want to know more about this. And you know what she did? After sitting down with her, she made the appointment. Many people feel, nah, I don't want to do it. But we want you to come. We want you to talk about it. We want you to see that you can really grow. Here's an illustration. I don't know if any of you out there that are listening, if you all have a green thumb. I don't, but I do love flowers. You plant a seed, but even before that, you're going to prepare your soil. You're going to make sure that that soil is nurtured. It's wet enough. It's going to be fertilizer. And then when you nourish those seeds, you begin to see buds. No, not that kind of bud, people. Buds from flowers. And then you start to see that green stem that's going to be a budding flower. It grows and it grows as long as you're going to give it its proper nutrients. We are like that, ladies and gentlemen. We are just budding flowers. Some of us have been in some pretty dark places. But out of those dark places, you've blossomed into something oh so beautiful. And you can be a flower of many different seeds. Here's the thought. You have to start from somewhere. We go to the store, we see beautiful flowers. When I walk in a grocery store, that's the first thing I look at is the flowers. I'm instantly drawn to that. And they have varying kinds of flowers. Which one are you going to blossom to be? The Healing Center takes some of the people that have experienced the most traumatic things. I can't even begin to tell you. But what I do know from the example of people and from 5 years forwarding, people have come back and said thank you. Why? Because they needed the healing. And when it was in their time to do it, that's what they did. We don't go looking for people. Many people have already, since January the 6th, come through our doors. I'm very grateful for that. Not only that, I have done some of my own healing. I have done exactly what I thought would be good for the community, firsthand. You know, sometimes we may have a life coach, we may have a psychologist, and you say, well, their lives are perfect. I beg to differ. We are just like all of you. It's when we get there, when our body says, you know, I've had enough of this, I need to get this off of you. How many of you have ever carried a heavy backpack? Or how many of you have ever carried your child's backpack? You know, they start to go to middle school and then it all begins. And you ask the question, why do you carry so many books? And you start to unload that backpack. It gets lighter and lighter, right? After all, if we carry a backpack full of books, it does affect us. We start to get bad posture. Our arm starts to hurt. Think about those books that are in that backpack. They weigh us down. See, our lives are just like that, weighing us down, cramping our style. And some of us don't know how to put the backpack down. We don't make the choices to take the books out. Because you know what we say? We need these books. How many of you have said, but I need this problem? And then you take on more problems. The books are a representation of the burdens. We take on more. Learn how to unload. And I mean that in a communicative way. Communication. Sometimes the best medicine is even better when we begin to unload, unburden. It's going to require talking. It's going to require your reflection of yourself. It's going to require work. Your part. You're doing your part. See, because everybody wants a fix-all. Get this off of me. I need to get rid of this. Is it going to be painful? It's your story. You come to the Healing Center and it's all about renewing yourself, discovering that you don't have to carry around the heavy burden that you are dealing with. And some of us are dealing with major emotional and mental stress. Could I just say that? And we are finding ways to be able to help ourselves. If you were with me earlier, then you realize that our message has not changed. We're still about you finding help for you. Don't you think it's about time that you checked in so that you don't check out? I've had experience with people that have taken their own lives. That was another reason I wanted the Healing Center. Because sometimes talking will do a body and a mind good. Now, we're no doctors, and I've said that every podcast that comes on. But we are teaching you, I am teaching you how to break even on understanding you. Sometimes it's frustrating when we don't understand ourselves. But we want everyone else to understand us when we don't understand ourselves. And it's a beautiful thing when you have someone that you confide in and they understand you. They say, I got you, I understand, I know exactly what you've been through, I've been there. But it's an even greater blessing for you to understand how you work. We've talked about keys. Everyone knows about keys. Some of us still have keys that we don't really use. They're just hanging around or in our drawer. Everyone has that kind of drawer where we put things in. But these are the keys to you. We had an assignment some years ago when we first started to form Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. Everybody was required to make a key. You can make any kind of key. You could decorate it, getting creative. And I said, hold on to those keys. Because you're going to need those keys to be able to access yourself. Think about that. Keys open a lot of doors, right? Keys make a lot of things work. Sometimes we have to figure out what tools do we need to well ourselves. We need the key. Does that mean that we're all knowing about ourselves? No. What I'm trying to express to you is that you must be able to gain access to you. Nobody can tell you more about you. No physical doctor can tell you more about you. As you go to the doctor, the first thing that he asks is what brings you here today. Now, he would have no way of accessing you if you didn't tell him. If you would have said, I don't know. Please tell me. And the next question that he asks, or she asks, is, what's bothering you? So you give them symptoms. And you begin to point. How many of you knew that you began to do that? You say, well, doctor, my knee's been bothering me, and you start to go towards your knee. Or, doctor, I've had this headache, so you start to motion towards your head. Or, doctor, my side, my back. You do that instantaneously without even knowing it. But here's the point. In order for him to gain access to you and to find out about you, you must be the one to acknowledge it. And the Healing Center is no medical center, but it's a center for help. You're able to walk in. We want to make sure that if you don't have a place to access your feelings, how you're feeling, depression, so many of us are dealing with that. And you'd rather not bother anybody. But we want you to bother us. And here's what the Healing Center does as well. The Healing Center, because we're not a medical clinic, we provide the resource. If you are living out of state, you still can gain access to the Healing Center just by a phone call. That phone call can put you and myself on video call. And you say to me, well, Miss Nisi, I need to be able to, if I can, I've got this symptom. Because we're not doctors, and nor do we try to be. But we are an individual group. We are a group of people. Workshop is included. Interactive conversations. It is truly a healing center. I sat down with someone and did a resource for them. And mom brought her teen in to talk with me. And I was able to do an intervention and do a resource with that team. We want you to know that you are the best at telling us what your symptoms are. And so I encourage you, don't stop your counselors, your therapists, your psychologists, your psychiatrists, just because you found the healing center. I have no medical degree. But I'll tell you what I do have. I am a certified life coach, and I'm best at what I do. By the way, I look at our page, and just in the last couple of weeks, more people have come to our page. We want you to know that ordinary people have extraordinary problems, challenges, because it isn't a problem until you make it a problem. It's a challenge. And I want you to start looking at your being able to handle the challenges. You remember the flower that we talked about? Flowers are interesting. I notice that when flowers start to take root, it's just green, right? But the greenness of that flower means, to me, wellness. Sometimes our flowers may die, but if we take care of them, they grow to be healthy. And the interesting thing about it, year after year, you keep getting those flowers. That's amazing. Our minds and our hearts and the way we feel with our emotions can get better. By the way, I don't make it a point. If you made an appointment with me as the director of the Healing Center, I don't make it a point to chase you to call you. That's up to you. It's there for the community. And I'm telling you, you guys have made me very, very busy. Thank you. Your wellness and to check into yourselves is oh so important. Sometimes we are symptomatic and we leave out the symptoms. How do we do this? When someone asks you, how are you today? You leave out the symptoms. Here's what we do. When we're not fine, we do what? I'm fine. Or when we're really feeling depressed and need somebody to talk to, and someone says, what's the matter? We leave out the symptoms. And we say what? Nothing. Please. Start being symptomatic. Start saying what the symptoms are. I went to a class in training for the certificate for life coaching. And every morning our discussions turned into interaction. We would do a check-in. How are you? People who had never spoken up before spoke up. It's a beautiful thing. I've taken that and applied it to the healing center. Because you know what? People started to include their symptoms. And if you get nothing from this podcast on Wednesday Wellness, I want you to be well. Start working on your wellness. And I know what people say. You got 5 minutes to let me tell you all about it? There's not enough time for me to start telling you. Tell someone. I want to tell you a story. Usually I wait for these stories on Friday if we are on air. There was a man that I had saw crying on the sidewalk. And it was early one morning. And I had noticed that this man was profusely crying. I could see his face even today. I went over to him and I said, "Are you okay?" See, he had the symptom. It was there because he was profusely crying. And I don't know anybody that profusely cries for nothing. You know what that man told me? "No, I'm not okay." Second sign. I still carry around a lot of guilt because at the time I didn't know what to do. So I told my friend, "Hey, there is a man outside and he is profusely crying." Here's the hardest part for me. Is that a week later, that man jumped out of a 80-story high-rise. Don't leave out the symptoms. And furthermore, I saw the symptoms and I did what I thought I should do. See, if we just take a moment to listen to somebody, we can help people. I also had a friend, and I want to tell you about this because this is Wednesday Wellness and we have to check in to ourselves before we can check in to other people. He would call me all the time. This is even before I started doing life coaching. And he would say how bad he felt about himself. And he would just call me to talk. Just call me to talk. You see, I learned to listen because of having that experience with the first person I told you about. To this day, I still have bad dreams because I always felt like I should have done something. Now, the second person talking to me every day, or every other day, he ended up taking his own life. Nothing I could do about that because I was there. The healing center is personal to me. The healing center is all about people welling themselves. Everyone has a story. I just told you mine. You see, all of the things that I mentioned and much, much more, we talk about in discussion forums. Have you work on yourself by various means. And we're going to be adding stuff as we go along because I know it's going to be beneficial. 5 years ago, we did not know, my co-host and we did not know that this was going to be anything but just a podcast. And people started coming on our other platforms. In fact, we didn't have a Facebook page, but we decided that because Facebook was such a big thing, hey, let's do this. By the way, every Wednesday we have a meeting. We talk about what we want to do with the podcast. We talk about how we want it to look, and the Wellness Center has been very responsive. Somebody said to me last night, hey, I wanted to come by and I couldn't find it. I'm going to give you the address now. It is 1317 East Palmdale Boulevard, Palmdale, California, 93550. We are Suite 18. And don't worry, even if you're living out of state, you can still be connected because, yes, we still do virtual. That's where we began. And my mother always tells me, never forget where you've come from. And so we don't forget our first home, which was virtual. We had many people that I met with virtually who literally would call just to say, hey, I want to talk about something. And you all did that very well. Some of you were on your lunch breaks. Others were in your rooms, in your homes. And so that was a good thing. That's how we got established to be a podcast. Because we couldn't be if you don't listen. You can find us on iHeartRadio. We're on iHeartRadio and Spotify and many, many other places. Now you can even just hashtag us through your Google search or your search engines. There are so many types of things to heal from. Let's talk about some feelings, especially when we are grieved. We're going to be right back. I promise you. We're going to be right back after this break. We'll be right back. We're back. And as I promised, we're going to be talking about some feelings when it comes to grief. I don't know about you all, but I have lost many of loved ones. And it hurts, especially when you really love them. We talk about grief, people say, it's going to be okay, they're in a better place, they're not sick anymore. But really, that's all fine and good. But I want you to think about yourself when you had love of a lost one. When someone died that you loved. Did you experience depression? If you are listening, people who grieve experience sadness, disparity, shock, anger, denial. Yeah, denial. And they were able to think about it. Good morning. We will be answering calls during this, so I thought that was someone connecting to us. We are live. If you have experienced any of the feelings that I've said, then those are feelings that you would feel during the time that you have lost someone you loved. For me, and I say this to you guys because I'm not just a life coach and my life is perfect. My firstborn nephew almost literally, his death almost crippled me. In fact, it was so devastating because it was like losing my own kids. Because we were that close. It was like somebody had just taken my best friend. He was funny, made me laugh all the time, and I always anticipated the family things because I knew he would be there, and if I brought anybody or if anybody brought anybody, he was going to clown them as well. Just a fun person. He was murdered, and I felt all of these things. The number one thing that I felt was the anger. I was angry at everything and everyone. Oh no, that wasn't the only thing. I was angry. But then that anger made me start feeling very depressed. And then I was shocked. See, these are not stages in order. Some of you may feel different things that we've mentioned. Acceptance for me came four years later, 5 years. I have peace in that. He doesn't have to suffer. have peace in knowing what the Bible holds out for resurrection hope. And you know how I honor his memory? Fridays were really hard for me. I honor his memory by doing something that I know he would have wanted me to do. Whether it's laughing, now those Fridays have turned into Fridays facing the lion challenges, as you see. Because it was a challenge for me to do anything on Friday. Because I know in 2015, that's when he died, on a Friday. And so every time I think about it, now I have replaced it. See, I should have had a healing center to go through, or two. A healing center that I could talk about this and how angry I was. Anybody that said his name just made me angry. You know, there are steps to healing. When we accept it, we're aware that we're having these feelings. We're going to have the anger. We have to tell ourselves affirmations. That's another thing the Healing Center does. It's a lot of, affirmations. The affirmation of getting better, not just words. I have you focus on what it is that you're saying. Not just saying it to be saying it. You know, there are other things to help us heal. You know, forgiveness. How many times have you been mad at somebody and you found it hard to forgive a person? Sometimes we need forgiveness. Sometimes we owe it to others to forgive them. And that takes healing. We connect with other people. We find it works with healing when we're able to say how we feel. Going back to the class that I went to, I'll tell you what, everybody in the class told their story. And wow, some of them have been through things that I would never even imagine. So when we think about healing, let's think about how it changes our lives for the good. It makes us more aware of healing or people's need to heal. It helps us physically to feel better and emotionally to feel better. Let's begin to do that. Question 2 that we've said in our song is, how do you heal yourself? When does it start? Well, we've got to identify. You remember when we talked about the doctor? And you point here and you point here. We even have a segment called Where Does It Hurt? Letting you know that you must discover the pain. If you notice the pain and you ignore the pain, it can be quite costly. And I mean that in the most emotional and mental way. Instead of hiding your pain, identify what is the source of this pain before you can heal it. See, a doctor doesn't walk in and say, "Oh, so your knee hurts today?" Because you would say, "Wow, nope, that's not what hurt. It's my back." He can't guess your pain, so you have to tell him. So in the healing center, you're identifying where it hurts is so pertinent to this program. We let you be able to connect. You have the keys to connect with yourself. And we want you to know how very important that is. All of us need that. When we have the healing center, we're able to address the issues that are affecting us emotionally, mentally, and physically. You don't just have to come to us because you're depressed. You can come to us because you're hurting, and that's it. And when I say that's it, you don't even have to have a reason. You can come and listen to be supported. Let's start prioritizing our own healing. How many times have you said, you just need to feel better, or you just need to get better, and you've been sick or stressed out and you've listened to other people? Let's start prioritizing our own healing. Let's be promoters of our own healing. It's a place, the healing center is a place where you can get through your negative emotions, behaviors, and your mind thinks more on a positive level by the work that I have you do. And when I say work, you don't even know that it's work until you start to feel better. It is able to improve your ability to cope. You say, how long does it take? It's going to depend on you. I want you to start thinking about identification, mindfulness. That's why we're including, or we have included, the relaxation sessions. And I'm so proud of that, because when you are able to relax and focus, it does you wonders. Today is the day to be well, stay well, and get well soon. We must develop an attitude and a mindset that says, I want to do this. I want to be on that self-healing journey. We can make all kind of excuse instead of just saying, I really just don't want to do that. Just be honest. We're taking appointments. We take emergency appointments. All you have to do is call that number. I want an emergency appointment. If I think that you need a referral, I will give you that referral. But the healing center is yours. You can call in. You can even, if you will, you can call in and you can be your own advocate by saying, I'm here. We've had people do that. I want you to be able to seek the help that's necessary. I want you to hug your healing journey. Come a little closer. I said, I want you to hug your healing, your healing journey. I want you to be able to do that. And I know how important it is. Our number is 1-888 721 9260. I wish you wellness. I wish you to get well soon. Thank you. My co host is quite under the weather. We're wishing you well, Trish. We miss you. And until next time, I challenge you to well yourself. Bye for now. And this is Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. Have a good day. And thank you.
Facing the lions, facing the lions. 'Cause I don't want you just to make a resolution. I want you to think about. I was really about the news, and then I got the vibe with it. I really took my time with it. I really love the ride.